PESTEL analysis is an analysis that research analysts, they do when in a company we are looking into how the external factors are going to affect our business. So what we do is that we are going to look into different factors that I'm going to cover today. And then we are going to look into what are the existing information about any of these factors and its influence on our business. This is the portion that we call, of course, I would say research analysis. But what we also do is that at the end of our PESTEL analysis, we are going to go over analytics, talking about what a company should do, considering the influence of all of the external factors, so that we will be able to increase the productivity or, for example, increase, I don't know, customer satisfaction, employees satisfaction, etc. So look into, again, what we will need to do for this exercise, because I'm showing you an exercise that we always do before, of course, writing a report on the PESTEL analysis. So usually we do perform a research on all possible factors that may affect the performance of the business. So I'm going to show you, of course, in the next slides, how we are going to look into those different factors, and we are going to use a mind map. Then we are going to look into highlighting potential opportunities and threats that may arise from each factor. And again, we will use another mind map for that purpose. Then we will identify and highlight sources of information for each environmental factors. Why? That's because we need to do some research. We need to find out where, from which repository, from which source, we will be able to get the information about those topics. Then we will prepare the analysis of, I would say, a set of, I would say, questions for doing the analysis. And we are also going to consider having a type of research where we will do some data collection. This may be producing surveys. This may be just making a questionnaire for ourselves. And it's going to have questions where we are going to respond to those questions. So what we do is that we write in advance the question that will allow us to understand more about the effects of these factors. And then we are going to find the answers. We will then write those answers on our questionnaire. It will then allow us to write a summary report of the PESTEL analysis. Then we can continue by collecting external data from appropriate data sources. Once it is done, we will now analyze the collected data. We will identify the significant opportunities and threats, and then we will, at the end, write about appropriate actions that have been identified in the previous slides or previous activities in the PESTEL analysis, in order to come up with a tabulated summary or a table where we are going to make suggestions, propositions to the business in order to improve their business, in order to prevent any issue that may again come on the road for the business. Okay, so now I'm just going to make, of course, this a little bit larger so that it will be easier for us to see. Okay, perfect. Now let's go over the first mind map. So here we are looking into again our business like a tree. And we are looking into different factors to consider for your analysis. A PESTEL analysis is a strategic management analysis. So we are looking into our business, and now we are going to look into this mind map, and we are going to question about, for example, the political factors. Is there any influence of the government stability on our business? Is there any influence of corruption level, political stability, organized crimes level, labor laws and policies, tariffs and taxations laws? Any of these influences are coming from the political factors. And we are now looking into whether or not any of these, again, factors have to be selected, because later in the next step and next slide, we are going to now decide which factors. And then we will use each and every of the factors that we chose in this mind map in order to do an analysis of the business. So, for example, if we are looking into the economic factor, we are going to look into market conditions, wealth distribution, customer access to credit, spending patterns, currency exchange rates, interest rates, inflation trend, retirement age, unemployment rates. These are all different economic factors that can affect our business. So again, in our PESTEL analysis, we are also going to look into these factors, understanding how and to what extent these economic factors are going to affect our business. And for this, we will need to locate sources of information. And we need to look into whether or not having some survey questions, because if we don't have enough data, we will need to do some survey in order to get the data. And here we talk about economic data. Now you will do the same thing for the social, technological, environmental, and legal factors. So by using this mind map, we are going to look into a bigger, much more in detail picture of all of those six or PESTEL factors that may affect our business. So once we did depict several of these factors, we are going to the next step in the PESTEL analysis. So in the second step of the PESTEL analysis, we are going to use color coding. In this example, we are looking into potential opportunities in a color and potential threats in another color. Now we go back at the bottom of this tree, which is for the PESTEL analysis. We will look into different factors. We will see that, for example, for our business, and here I'm giving you the example of a business for chocolate, Hershey's. We can look into the political. So let's go over political stability. This is, again, an opportunity. Trade policies, again, this is an opportunity. Corporate social responsibility is also another potential opportunities. But what are the threats if we are looking into the political factors? One of the potential threats may be the tariffs and taxation laws. Since we are making chocolates, we also import chocolate. So another potential threat for us may be import and export restrictions. And of course, threat of war or legislative changes or labor law and policy. Any of these political factors may affect our business. Now, looking into any potential opportunity or potential threat, we can also look into the economic branch. So on the right side of this tree, we will see that for the opportunities, we can talk about spending patterns of customers. We can look into wealth distribution. And for the threats, we can look into currency exchange rates, inflation trends, unemployment rates, etc., etc. And you understand very well that when we are looking into those factors and looking into potential opportunities and threats, we will see that for the factor economic, we also are exposed to threats and opportunities. Now you can always continue with all of the 6 factors that we see in the PESTEL analysis, using this mind map, choosing the threats and the opportunities, because in the next step, we are going to now look into from where we can get information about these opportunities and threats, because we are doing analysis. And when we do analysis, we need to have data. So first of all, we looked into potential opportunities and threats. We chose those topics for each factor that we chose in PESTEL analysis. And then we are now going to look into what type of data we may be able to gather, to get in order to do our analysis. So for this, we are going to have again color codes for different sources of information. On the top right side of this mind map, we do see several circles with different colors, and the type of the information or the resource of information are internet, commercial databases, government databases, journals and newspapers, industry publications, industry-related conferences, customers, suppliers, partners. So here we may look into surveys as well, personal contacts, again, through the surveys, professional colleagues, through the surveys as well, and internal databases and reports if we are, for example, working in the government or in banks or in other big institutions where they do have internal databases. So you all understood that at the very beginning for the pest analysis, we are going to look into what are the factors. Then we are going to look into how those factors may affect our business. And then in this step, we are going to look into what are the source of information that we need to put. Of course, you have to cite those source of information in your PESTEL analysis, of course. And then we are going to look into what are the information available related to our business. So here, this again step in your PESTEL analysis is showing you that you will need to first go over the mind maps, and then you will need to complete 3 columns in this slide. One of them on the left side, these are the factors. For example, for the social factors, you did find out that for your own business, we are having factors like trends and behaviors. We may have factors like attitudes and perceptions toward, of course, our product or services. And you can also look into the demographics of the population. So once we do have these factors, we did look through another mind map that we do have potential opportunities and threats. So when you are going to write down the factors for social factors, here factor means specific factors, for the social branch, you will see that you do have social welfare programs, wealth distribution, and population growth rate that are all potential strengths, okay, and opportunities as well. However, you also have the age distribution and healthy life cycle, that style that may be, again, some threats to the business. And here we talk about the business of chocolate. And on the last column, you will need to write the URL pointing to a real database in a real place. Of course, these are URLs on internet, and those URLs must be pointing to a source where you will be able to get to know more about the opportunities and threats related to the factors like trends and behaviors that you did choose when you were talking about the social branch in your PESTEL analysis. So another example is you chose the environmental branch in your PESTEL analysis, and don't forget that we will need to do all of those 6 different branches. Okay, so we do political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental. Then we are going to look into all of the potential opportunities and threats that are that come to our mind because we do the analysis, and then we are going to write down URLs or direct links, hyperlinks that are directing us to working and existing data sources. Okay, this is part of our job, is to look into a mind map, proposing again some ideas, and then to find out places, resources where we and the readers of your report will be able to go and look into the available resources. And again, please don't choose Wikipedia, because in Wikipedia, anyone can just make any change, and this is not acceptable by any organization. This is maybe a good place for entertainment purposes, but you always need to look into sources of information where they are peer reviewed, or at least they are all coming from institutions that are well established. Then you're going to look into your questions, because when we are doing our PESTEL analysis, we have also to prepare some questionnaires, because we may not have access to all of the data that we need. You may not find, in previous publications, people who did look into all of your existing questions about your business. So what you do is that you are going to write your questions as well. For example, for the branch of political, you did choose factors like government regulations and policies. Then you chose a factor like changes in trade policies and tariffs and political stability. Now, what are your questions? Because you're going to look into different source of information to respond to your questions, or you are going to, maybe if it is social, for example, you're going to create a survey and look into where you can find the data. So your questions for the political branch will be, for the example that I'm giving you, okay, it may not be the case for your example or any other business, is what are the regulations and laws governing the chocolate industry in the countries where Hershey operates? Because as I told you, we are talking about the Hershey business here. And another question is, are there any political risks, such as instability or corruption, that may affect Hershey's operations? So now you continue with questioning, again related to any of the branches in your PESTEL analysis. And this is how you are going to do your research. For example, for the social trends and behaviors, your question is, what are consumer preferences and tastes trends related to chocolate and other confectionery products? So here you may find some articles, some publications about studies that have been done elsewhere, or maybe in your country, but at the same time, you may not find necessarily all of the answers to your existing questions today. So you will need to come up with creating surveys that will allow you to gather the data related to your questions that are related again to the social branch, to the factor, trends, and behaviors for your PESTEL analysis. So when we are doing a PESTEL analysis, this is not a matter of a day or two. It may be a matter of a month or two. where we are looking in detail. If we don't know or we don't have an expertise, we are going to hire consultants and we are going to discuss with them. We're going to have brainstorming sessions. If you're looking into technological factors, we are going to look into people who are good in technology and we are going to just have discussions with them. If we are dealing with social, we are going to again have some, I would say, uh, not meeting, we can call them meeting, but having some type of event where we are going to have a few consumers and we are going to talk with them. So we are going to use different groups, different teams, different people from different, again, branches, I would say, industrial branches as well. And we are going to ask them our questions. And this is how your PESTEL analysis may be long, the time to make it. But again, what goes, I would say, after that? This is important because when we are having a PESTEL analysis, as I told you, we are able now to make business decisions. So we are ready to pay well for having a right and well done PESTEL analysis. Now, the next step for us in doing the PESTEL analysis is to write down the data collection plan. Don't forget that when you are writing your PESTEL analysis document, we need, of course, to write it like a structure of an article, where we do have the rationale of the research, we do have the background for the research, we do have our material and methods, and when we talk about the material methods, we are also looking into mind maps. We also, as you know, talk about our research questions and then research hypothesis, or sometimes you may have research hypothesis. But again, this is like a thesis that you write. Of course, it's not going to be 200 pages, but a PESTEL analysis needs also to refer to all of the data that have been used for performing or for writing these PESTEL analysis. So here we are going to look into which data are we going to use, because this is also the next step. The example is that if you're looking into the political branch in our analysis, and if you're looking into government and regulations and policies as one factor, we are going to look into having a data collection plan for gathering political data, such as the government policy, regulations, and political stability indices. You may go to Statistics Canada. You may go to Statista. You may go to, again, different ministerial databases that are available to the public. Maybe you're working within the ministry or within an institution where you will have access to the internal database. This is just perfect. But you will need also to cite, or I would say to state, the source of your data and talk about your data collection plan in your PESTEL analysis. Again, don't forget that you're writing a type of report, but this is an analysis report, and we need to justify what we are looking at, how we are going to look at those different trends, for example, is those points, which database we are using, what were our research questions, and what data we did gather in order to read, analyze, understand, present, and then to come up with analytics. It means coming up with solutions in order to improve an existing business. Then, when we are going to look into the next step for the PESTEL analysis, you need to have, again, a research and data collection outcome. Here, for example, the data collection outcome for the branch of political or politics and the factors such as government regulations and policies is that in the countries where Hershey operates, political risks may be related to regulation changes, trade policies or political instability. He or she may need to monitor these risks and adjust its operations accordingly. So this is the outcome of the previous step. First, we looked into the mind maps. We chose what are the factors within each branch of PESTEL. Then we chose the institutional or type of, I would say, data sources. And then we looked into those data having our research questions. And then after reading the information or doing some statistical analysis or getting the knowledge by reading the information, we were able now to come up with the outcomes of our research. So the outcome for your research, for the PESTEL analysis, for the political branch is the one that I just read. Another example is that your outcome of your research for the legal branch in your PESTEL analysis for the factors such as food safety and labeling regulations is the following. He or she may need to comply with various regulations related to product labeling, packaging, advertising, particularly in its operating countries. Additionally, he or she may need to adhere to labor laws and environmental regulations related to its operation. So this is again the outcomes of your research for this industry in a summary. But you wrote your summary in a table. So we call this a tabulated summary. You can, of course, add this tabulated summary into your PESTEL report as well. Now, what are the findings? The findings for you are the following. You did look into, again, opportunities, you looked into the threats, you looked into the data, you find out where to go to find the data. Then you had your research questions, you responded to your research questions, and then you did the analysis. And based on the analysis, you're writing here your findings. As an example, for the economic branch, you have been looking into factors such as economic conditions and trends, or currency exchange rates, or changes in consumer spending and preferences. You also looked into opportunities and threats, where you have the opportunities that are the following. Economic growth can lead to increased demand for Hershey's products. Changes in consumer preferences can create new market opportunities for Hershey's product offering. The threats are the following. Economic downturns can lead to reduced consumer spending and demand for Hershey's products. Changes in currency exchange rate can increase Hershey's cost of production and reduce its profitability in certain countries. Then you will need to add more information about your findings. So for economic branch, you're going to write down that, of course, based on your research, that we have also emerging markets such as India and China that are becoming increasingly important for the chocolate industry as disposable incomes rise and consumers develop a taste for premium chocolate products, and Hershey's could consider expanding its presence in these markets to capitalize on this trend. Now you see here, we are gradually going toward analytics, what we should be doing in order to expand the business. It's not just a matter of looking into actual opportunities and threats. We are building on opportunities and we are making some decisions, or you as a research analyst or research scientist, you are going to come up with conclusions about your research results, and then you're going to bring more suggestions to the table. Then here in your PESTEL analysis, you will need to write your findings that will affect the business strategic decisions. So here you do have several factors for again the PESTEL analysis. I'm just going to read one for example, technological advancements such as e-commerce and blockchain could offer opportunities for Hershey's to improve its supply chain efficiency and customer engagement. Hershey should consider investing in new technologies to stay competitive. Of course, if you need to develop more or to go further, you will be able to again add more information. But for the sake of this lecture and this exercise, we just give some limitations for the I would say for the precision and the concision of the text. Okay, if not, again, you can go far by looking into the PESTEL analysis, such as for economic branch. I'm going to read as well. Economic factors such as inflation, exchange rates, and consumer spending can affect Hershey's sales and profitability. Hershey should consider these factors when making pricing and investment decisions. So now that you understood about the findings, and this is again the results of our analysis, we also look into what a company should do in order to stay in the business or to improve the business, to expand their business. So here we are looking into the strategic management, which is related to the PESTEL analysis. So, for example, here I can look into the political branch, talking about the factors such as government regulations and policies, changes in trade policies and tariffs, and political stability. In this case, us, like as research scientists and people who do business analytics, we are going to propose actions to each company. Here, I was proposing actions to Hershey's company, telling them that based on the actual, I would say, status of in politics, economic, social, technology, legal, and environmental, I would say, sectors, for the political branch, you can monitor changes in government policies and economic factors. So Hershey should monitor changes in government policies, regulations, and trade agreements that could affect its operations and profitability. Hence, Hershey's should also consider economic factors such as inflation, exchange rates, and consumer spending when making pricing and investment decisions. Now, when you give this, I would say, results of your PESTEL analysis to a company, the upper management is going to look into this as well. And the company is, or the institution is going to write policies, or they are going to make decisions in order to, again, I would say, not to change, but to update the mission, vision, and values of the company. It means that we have a vision for the company. We would like to reach a specific place in the society, in the industry. In order to reach our goals, we need to go over PESTEL analysis and to look into how we are going to expand the business, how we are going to reach our goals for the business. And when we do a PESTEL analysis, this is a most complete analysis that we can perform for our business, since this is really covering all of the 6 fundamental branches in our society. And it will allow us, again, not only to look into the data analysis or the trend analysis, but also to look into analytics. proposing action items, proposing goals for the future of different corporations. So thank you so much for your attendance. And thank you. I hope that you liked, again, this course. That was, again, very interesting because, as I told you, we always use the PESTEL analysis when we are looking into promoting a business, changing a business in a good way, of course, expanding a business. This is, again, the tool that we use.